Aloha kako. Aloha e kamaha o oi ho I ka mua e koma I loko ka lumi mahalo nui. He hea ko wahi Aina. Aloha e nā hoa. Aloha e no hea lani me kalapana me anu hea. Aloha kako. Yeah, I'm gonna get see if my Facebook, if I can get that set up here. Oops, Facebook. Go invite some of your friends, tell them to come join us today on Facebook. Oh, there, I see our Facebook is up and live. Uy, aloha e na hoa maane I ma Zoom. To all of our friends joining us here on Zoom, to all of our friends that are also joining us on Facebook. Aloha kako. Today is Po'alua. He Po'alua keia. It's a happy Tuesday and a great day here in our community, here on our computers, on Zoom, on Facebook. Hopefully you're sharing. Actually, I'm gonna go share mine now. Share. So if you're joining us on Facebook Live, go share the stream so that we can fill up our room today. And we also love having all of you join us on Zoom. So totally happy to have you guys on both platforms. On both platforms, whether we're on Zoom or on Facebook. We like having you with us, you know, on all of our different episodes and shows and webinars. You know, there's so many different names and so many exciting things that are also going on, you know, on our on the internet. So many different kinds, like we're all learning so much. It's been so exciting. And we're just really thankful that you guys have chosen to come be with Lei Ānuenue. And, you know, if you're not familiar with the Facebook page, you go follow us there. Also on kanayokana.net/lei. I think a lot of you are familiar with it, but that's where we always upload the whole schedule. And you get to learn about what's coming up. And hopefully you put them in your calendar and schedule it in. And make it a regular thing to come back. So aloha e na hoa ma Facebook. I see a lot of our friends joining us on Facebook, and we're gonna get started really soon. And you know, those of you, I know many of you follow Kalei Uhiva as well, who's gonna be our guest speaker. And every day she does pule. I think it's through her Facebook as well as through her through a Zoom link, but they do a pule at 9 o'clock. So as soon as she's done with the pule, she usually comes jumping in around 9:10, 9:15. But I got some really exciting things to share with you guys this morning and to just see who's out there as well. And I see that Wakani no Kahola, that our, you know, our hour has rung. And so we're gonna get started here. Okay, next slide. Okay, as usual, we wanna hear where you guys are tuning in from. And you know, I see my friend Lucy is tuning in from Nairobi, Kenya. Aloha, Lucy Malenke. If you can put in the chat on Zoom or on Facebook, let us know where you're tuning in from. I love seeing and giving our aloha out to all of your Aina, your land. You know, our land is our kupuna. And I want to know where you guys are tuning in from. Mahalo e kamahao. I see Wailua Kauai is joining us. Anahola Kauai. Palau hulu ahupua'a in Ka'u. Aloha no. And of course, yes, there's Lucy saying aloha, and I recognized her name right away. And thank you for joining us from Nairobi, Kenya. Wow. First, I think you're the first person from Kenya to join us, Lucy. Pohakupu o ahu. Pohakupu o ahu. Lahaina malu ulu o lele. Aloha no. And I'm looking on my Facebook as well. Aloha from Indiana. We also have Ohana joining us from Vainui o Mata, Aotearoa. Also from Hilo, we have friends joining us from Hilo, as well as Quebec, Canada. Amazing. Honolulu, Hawaii, Waimanalo. Anyone else on Zoom or Facebook? Yes, and another aloha from Aotearoa. So we have friends joining us from all different places. Honokawai, Maui, aloha e maile. Desert Hot Springs, California. Mai ka'iloa. So, you know, I love this picture because it kind of shows our piko of the Honua here in the Pakipika or the Pacific. And, you know, we know that our world is really expanding. And for us, yes, we feel like we're the circle, we're that little pico, but then we have people joining us from all over, from Hawaii. Aloha no. So Maika Iloa, we're happy that you guys have joined us today. And let's see, my next slide. Oh, I wanted to share with all of you about the Aloha Aina Leader Award. Some of you may have seen it in the Oha newspaper, Kawai Ola. This is this month's Kawai Ola newspaper. And inside of it is a whole spread about the Aloha Aina Leader Award. And the picture you see here are the winners of this award. And you can also go see more at our website, kanayokana.net/aala. And I'm going to stop sharing really quickly because I wanted to also share with you what that website looks like. And I want you to go check it out because one, it's done really nicely. So mahalo nui to our Kanayokana team for putting it together and for really organizing our committees and our team put together this award. And they get a monetary award and, you know, other little makana. And I wanted to share it because normally we have a gathering that brings them all together and we celebrate them. And Kalamai, my home phone is ringing right now. So, you know, you're in my hale and this is part of my reality here. But I wanted to share with you the website. So the Aloha Aina Leader Award, I'm gonna try and scroll down here. Let's see if I can do that. Oh yeah, and oh, an amazing Olelo no Eao from Joseph Navahi that reads, Oke Aloha Aina, Oya ka ume make neki iloko ka pu'uwai o kalahui. And then you see a great description here of what is the Aloha Aina Leader Award. And it really, all of these haumana that got nominated and selected by their schools to be awarded this really embrace what a Aloha Aina leader is. And so I'm gonna scroll down. We've been doing this. This is our third year for giving the Aloha Aina Leader Awards. And here's some of the photos of the class of 2020 that's receiving this from different schools like Kamehameha Schools Kapalama, Ke Kula o Ehunui Kai Malino, Kamehameha Schools Maui. Let's see. From Pahoa, Hawaii Kua o Kala. From Hanapepe, Kauai. Oh, look at that. My hometown. Kula au Puni ni Ihawa Kahelelani Aloha, as well as from Kawaikini. Also from Hina I Kamalama on Molokai. Kula Kaya Puni o Kahuku, Ke Anala Ahana. And let's see, I'm gonna just read out the school names here. Kamehameha Schools Ke Au, Ke Kula o Navahi o Kalani o Pu'u, Kanu I Kapono. Also from Ke Kula Ni'ihau o Ke Kaha, Ke Kula Kayapuni o Ānuenue, Kamaile Academy, Ke Kula o Samuel M. Kamakau, Kanu o Ka Aina, Haki Pu'u Academy, and finally here from Halauku Mana. So go check them out on our website, kanaiokana.net/aala. And you know, another fun feature is when you hover over the picture, look at how it flips into showing an olelo no eao, and each of them submitted, I believe, these olelo no eao or sayings or, you know, something that resonates with them. So I really like looking at it, and it becomes very personal. So here from Kanuo Ka Aina, Waimea K says, Waimea has a strong relationship with the Aina where he is from. So awesome, you know, and yeah, go check him out. I think it's a really great award, and just wanted to say congratulations to all these 2020 Haumana. So let me go back to my Google Slides here, and I'm gonna click on present. And kind of in that spirit of Aloha Aina leaders, I wanted our next question I put up here. Who's an Aloha Aina leader in your life? Can you put that in the chat? Anyone, anyone. Maybe from your ohana, maybe from your community. Who do you feel is your Aloha Aina leader? So mahalo, I see someone saying Anakala George Helm. Definitely, definitely Anakala George Helm is an Aloha Aina leader. Anyone else wanna share who they would like to honor as an Aloha Aina leader in their life, who may have been influential, or you know, they're doing things, they're a kia'i for protecting our wahipana. Aloha Aina leaders are also farmers. And yeah, mahalo. Okay, I'm gonna holomua with another. Oh, okay, I see another one. Kamahao is saying kumu leiwan, kumu kaliko gu. So yes, shout outs to all of our kumu. Joy is saying that my daughter is Aloha Aina leader. Definitely. And I think, you know, all the makua out there, our kupuna, they are amazing examples. I also see Noeau Peralto and Haley Kailiehu. Kanani is sharing that her dad, Herbert Kihoy Jr. Mahalo e Kalama for sharing Kumu Noeau Warner as an Aloha Aina leader. Kumu Mikilani Young. Mahalo Sue or Sarah or both. Let's see. Coco Hota Hota as, oh, I love Coco, and I'm loving, yeah, I'm missing Coco as well too. So Coco Hota Hota, also an Aloha Aina leader. My kai. I'm gonna go on to my next one because I like how some of you, like all of these kumu have been a big part of our lives. And I don't know if you guys knew, but today is National Teachers Day. And I only knew this because I had the news on this morning. So I was wondering, maybe in the same spirit of who's the Aloha Aina leader in your life, who is a kumu or a teacher, whether it was a school teacher or a kupuna or your mom or your dad, who is that kumu that you would like to honor today on National Teachers Day? Can you put a name in there? Kumu ke kaialoha ke kahi. He kumu mai ka iloa. Mahalo. Auntie Hokulani Holt. Ko'u makua hine. Yes, Kamaha'o, your mom is an amazing kumu. Anake pualani kanaka ole kanaya hele. Anake ke kuhi. Kauna Oa Garcia. Ka'e'e alu. Yes, sending out our aloha to all the ohana of Ka'e'e. I'm looking at Facebook. Auntie Pua Kanaka Ole Kanahele, Dr. D. Ann, Stephanie Naron Thompson. Blessed with many kumu, I'd like to honor Kumu Patrick Makuakane, Kumu Keola Lake. Yeah, so many different people. Here on Zoom, I'm seeing, who else we have here? Kumu Keli Rochelle, Anakala Makaharid and his Ohana, Kumu Lilinoi Ka'ahanui. So many people that have touched our lives.
Kimitete.
Papa Mao. Yeah. Kumu Snow. Yes. So, you know, today, after our show, we'll go jump on Facebook and go put out a shout out to all these amazing people, put a picture of them and say mahalo. And you know, that's the kinds of things I love seeing in our Facebook posts. Not all the other things that kind of just drive us crazy and put us in a different mode. Show gratitude, show mahalo. And even if you want to call that kumu or, you know, say hello or send a text, those are the kinds of amazing things I think would be really good to put out there. Oh, I'm seeing also more about my second grade teacher or Relene, Ha'alelea, Kawai Mai Kailoa. So let's see. Oh yeah, perfect timing. So aloha again, everybody. And I'm Malia Nobrica Oliveira. I should actually put the ho'olauna right in the beginning. That's kind of weird, yeah. Like I start doing all these other things and then I end up saying aloha. But I'm Malia and I'm excited to be here as a leo kako'o from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, Hawaii Nui Akea. And you know, I'm wearing this beautiful carnation lei that got delivered to me yesterday. So I want to say aloha to the Nita Ohana in Kekaha. They came and delivered this. They actually grow the carnations here on Kauai in their yard. And Uncle Kimo Alama on his May Day is Lei Day show on Friday had actually honored them and talked about, you know, going to their hale and being able to smell it. And they came and blessed me with this lace. I wanted to say mahalo to the Ohana Nita for coming and sharing this lei with me and for growing such beautiful carnation. I never know I could grow carnation here on Kauai. I might have to go look for those seeds, I think, Kalei next. Make more leis. But yeah, so maybe I'll let you introduce yourself, although I think so many of our friends are familiar with you, but we like having a ho'olauna because we have new people. Did you know, I don't know if you heard, my friend from Nairobi, Kenya is joining us today.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, so Lucy, and then I think Hinano is joining us.
I saw Hinano's name. Yeah, she listed Mami Kimitete as a kumu. Yeah, cool.
So yeah, you go introduce yourself and then I'll get our
okay
slides ready.
Shoots. All right, wait. First of all, my my headphones is smoking broke because I sat on it the other day. Yeah, so if I'm wandering off, but anyway, aloha gang, my name is Kalei Nu'uhiwa. I come from the island of Maui and am in fact here for now, for the next few days till I go home to Hilo. Born and raised here, went to school to Baldwin. I didn't make the cut for Kamehameha. You know, what a disappointment, but oh well, that's how. And then let's see, I had children here, raised my children here, and I actually was originally from Front Street. Then we moved to Kahului later on, and then I lived in Paia next to some awesome neighbors for a long time. I don't know, like 15 years. Then I moved to Kahakuloa because I wanted to go be a Hawaiian in Lo'i Kalo and raised Lo'i Kalo. Did that for about 13 years, lived off the land. It's a very hard life, but I enjoyed doing it actually. I don't know if my kids enjoyed it. Hopefully they have fond memories. I'm not sure. Anyway, then later on, I worked with the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission. Before that, I was volunteering with the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana. I always say Kaho'olawe was my first university. That's where I learned a lot of things. And then after that, I actually went to the university all the way through. It took me 9 years, gang, 9 years to get a BA, but I got it. Then was encouraged to go do my master's. So I did that. And now I'm just, I moved to Hilo, worked with the Edith Kanaka Ole Foundation, worked with several other institutions on Hawaii Island to do research. I love research. I love sitting in the newspapers. I love finding old chants and old stories. And then the other part of that is I love bringing it to life and restoring it back to everyday use, which is, I didn't know I liked doing that. It just sort of kind of happened, you know, fell on my lap. And that's kind of how the moon calendar came to life. I think I told the story last time we were here, but yeah, anyway, so I'm very much happy to see how many people are actually reviving the moon calendar, Kaulana Mahina, in all different kinds of capacities. Malia, and then I met you through that journey, and then together we formed I Malama together, which was a way to address climate change, bring it to our community's consciousness, and then giving people tools to actually survive. I think the best is through the Kaulana Mahina because it helps you. I mean, to me, that's the key. Some people kind of go, oh yeah, I heard that, been there, done that. But actually, you totally lost the point. You missed the point if that's your answer for that. Yeah, so that's how keen our kupuna were. They understood things. I mean, I am constantly amazed at how science today is only catching up to the brilliance of Hawaiian kupuna and all indigenous peoples' knowledge from before that worked for them before is still valid and very useful today. So anyway, that's how we know each other, and that's my long introduction.
No, that was perfect, you know, and I just to share with everyone too that yesterday when Kalei and I were just checking in and, you know, planning for today, I actually took her on a little tour of my little garden I started outside using hydroponics. And, you know, because I've been on this same learning journey of how to bring the Kaulana Mahina back into my life, you know, I didn't learn it growing up. And so by our interactions and then by doing our different conferences and workshops in the community, like I was telling Kalei, you know, the bell pepper plant, like right now, still like, first I was like kind of both of them was leaning a certain way. And then in the morning, they kind of go down and then they start to come alive. And I was feeling like Kiana Frank, you know, when she does her little hula for the micro, because that's how the plants are making me feel, you know. And then I think back, and it's a good segue into our talk today about how the moon, the sun, and our elements, how that really has an impact and an effect on our plants, how the water flows and all of that. So, you know, it's great, like all of us that are becoming farmers now, and or you know, continuing or starting in little ways, like go watch your plants, because you'll see them dance and you'll see them move when it's different phases of the moon. And
Yeah,
that's been really exciting
absolutely.
for me to really see it, especially because now my plants are real babies, so I can see them. Like I'm like, oh, do they have enough water? Or you know, making these little observations. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
cool.
start to bring up the slides.
Yeah, that's awesome. I find it interesting. I find it interesting that during the pandemic, that's kind of one of the first things people immediately did was go, go farm, start farming, getting the gardens ready. You know, I see that. I also saw people starting to bake breads and things like that. You know, like we immediately went back to things that made us feel safe and at home. You know, yeah. So food sovereignty, that's always a good thing. You
Yeah,
feel
and then I
sovereign when you plant your seeds and they're going and they're reacting. Excuse me.
right. And then I like the other thing where our conversation went yesterday is about, you know, like right now we're seeing a lot of food delivery into the homes,
Hmm.
and which is a great thing because there's such a big need for that. You know, we want to make sure our kupuna, our keiki, and all our ohana are fed well and
Hmm.
are getting aipono. But I liked how our conversation went into like how our next steps should really be about now, maybe even thinking about distributing seeds and starting ways that we can empower each ohana. Like when they get their meal for this week, maybe they're getting a few, like a kit to start their mala today, you know,
Right.
to think about, because it takes, some of them take 30 days to 45 days to really like come to fruit. So
Right.
I don't know, you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that's cool, but maybe for the kupuna would be better if we grew it for them and then
Yeah.
take it to them, right? Yeah. I think any kind of step towards becoming. I mean, just like what you showed me yesterday. You know, in your pots, in your on your balcony, or you can do so much in such a little space and feed yourself and your family. I mean, it's just amazing. I grew up, I don't know, well, most people in Hawaii grew up next to Filipino families who would have a little tiny plot of land and it would be full of, everything from eggplants to string beans,
Yeah.
wing beans, all kinds of food, citrus. I mean, that was something that was, and yeah, and then we had a Japanese neighbor in the back and she would plant peanuts and, one buck, those kinds of things. And then we had our fruit trees, so I mean it was always easy to mix and share. And yeah, I like this. That's kind of the nice thing about the pandemic is it made us remember and recall how important community is, and how getting to know your neighbor is important, and caring for the other person. That's, I think, a nice outcome of the whole pandemic situation, really. I mean, anyway, okay, let's get into the calendar.
Yeah. You know, I
Yeah.
gotta let them know though that this is part two.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you didn't see part one, then go to our scheduler and you'll see where the recording is for part one.
Right.
And it's also on our Vaihona and places like that, because we're gonna kind of just dive into part two.
Yeah.
And you know, we're also thinking about a part three. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta go watch part one if you missed it, because this is a continuation. Okay, so let me go
Yeah.
to the slide here.
Mahalo nui to you, Malia, and to Kanai Okano for inviting me. What I want to say about part one is I was kind of in the middle of when I wasn't really sleeping well. I don't know about you all, but and anyway, I wasn't really sleeping well. I didn't drink coffee, and so I didn't have the synapses in my brains weren't really like. So afterwards, when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, Kalei, I used the term cerulean I meant circadian. Circadian is 24 hours. It's a 24-hour period, so I got to correct that. Cerulean, just me, my artist friends, and all my my lovely Mahu friends would know what cerulean is, what color blue that is. But I really meant to say circadian. So yeah, so 24-hour period. I have to correct that. And then the other thing that happened was I couldn't do math for some reason. I don't know why. I had this brain, you know, just a block. But anyway, yeah. So the 75 years is how long it takes for a star to move 1 degree. Okay. Anyway, back to this. Here we are at the Kaulana Mahina. We're just gonna run. We're just gonna jump into it. And I do want to say, I'm going to use this opportunity while this slide is up to say to people, I often hear people say, oh, you know, if you're in Hilo, the moon phase is different from what's happening on Kauai. And so I'm going to say to you right now, that's not true. Yeah, there are differences. It's so slight, you cannot make the difference from one, because Hawaii, we're basically, you know, we're sort of in the same vicinity, you know, the way that our archipelago is located. So our moon phase is pretty much the same throughout the whole entire archipelago. It doesn't really change. What the difference is are the ways in which our malama are calculated. And so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. And what the moon phase does is show you where in relationship the moon is on its orbit, right, around the Earth. So which gives us all of our phases, and you know, just for a little science of that. And everyone in the Pacific I know of anyway, especially those folks, or in the Oceania, those who sit in the Polynesian Triangle, pretty much have the same or nearly the same names of the phases. So you can see that we all brought that knowledge with us when we traveled throughout Oceania, from Samoa to Hawaii, all the way down. Like I said last time, I didn't really study the Rapa Nui calendar, but maybe someday I'll get an opportunity to do that. But right now I know about New Zealand, Maori, different calendar, the Marama Taka down there, and then coming back up. But and of course those like Hinano, who are experts in Tahiti. Yeah, so they still live very much so by the moon. And so yeah, we have to acknowledge that knowledge that was brought came to Hawaii already. We already knew it, shared amongst, and then when we landed here, we had to adopt and adapt to what was happening. So we adopted our knowledge of the moon calendar, the Kaulana Mahina, into adapting into our space and what's that. So that sort of sets us up for the malama that we're going to talk about, because yeah, so anyway, just to remind you, there are 30 phases, 30 shapes of the moon that we actually recognize, Hawaiians recognized. It does not mean that correlated to 30 days, right? That's where the circadian comes in, the 24-hour period. The moon doesn't sit in the same shape in that 24-hour period. It's already changing from one phase to the next. So just so you guys know that. And I think that sort of catches us up, yeah, to where we ended. Yeah, Malia. Okay. Yeah, and the H to H thing is the first 15 phases. Rise in the daytime, set at night. And then the second M to M phases, rise at night and set in the daytime. Now that's important. That's important to know, because we'll tell you all the secret about the moon if you didn't know, and why she's attributed in many cultures to be a woman. And that's because she can attract and repel all at the same time. That's her function. Okay, the moon's function is to move liquid. And I use the term liquid to mean to be a general term, because it can be, we know it as tides, we know it for water, we know it for pele, which is magma, and we're going to talk about all of these things, and then sap. Okay, also that we don't talk about here today, because I don't want to talk about because I don't personally know too much about it, but it is water in your body and blood too. So liquid. And if you're a la'au lapa'au person or a healer, that would probably be more of your interest. If especially if you're doing lomi lomi and how you move water and move blood and move sinew and tissue and all those things in a person. And so I'm not able to tell anybody where it is. So because I think we're all kind of, yeah, born different. And anyway, that's a long story for, I'm gonna stay away from that before people think this is what it's supposed to be, and I don't know myself. Anyway, so it's an ebb and a flow, right? So there's always a movement that's happening, an attraction, or a repel, something, or yeah, going away. So here's my little rendition of that. Don't worry, I'm not gonna come after anybody's job at Pixar or Disney, but this is basically what it sort of looks like. And no, it's not squared off like that. I just didn't know how to do a bell curve like that, how waves are. But basically what you see here is the moon is moving. In front of it is the low tide, and then a little bit in the back of it is the high tide, and then it drops off with the low tide again, right? This is in Hawaii. That would change the further north in the hemisphere that you go and the further south that you go in the hemisphere. So for example, people in Oregon and Washington, when their tide goes out, it totally leaves, right? And you don't want to be stuck in that when that's happening. And it's the same for when the tide comes back in. It comes back fairly quickly. And sometimes, like you see in New Zealand too, you'll see boats that are floating at one point and all of a sudden they're on the bottom of the ocean, right on the ocean floor, because the tide has gone out. And then everybody's out there looking for fish, or not fish, but shellfish and things like that. And then there's a time, you got to get your time, you got to be done by the time. Anyway, so that's how it is elsewhere. But here in Hawaii, we're pretty steady with 2 high tides and 2 low tides. And that's what this chart, yeah, so good, Malia. Thanks.
The older one, Kalamai.
Oh, okay, no worries. Yeah, okay. So this is, so don't look at this. Well, I mean, look at it for an example. But oops, we forgot to put the new one. But as you can see, there are two, there's a very low tide, it goes up, there's a high tide, then there's a medium tide, but you know, it's kind of, and then it goes up again and it comes back down. So this happens within a 24 circadian hour period, right? Circadian, not cerulean, although that color there is pretty close to cerulean. But anyway, yeah, so circadian, yeah, there's always a high tide, there's always a low tide. And so what you see below here are the times in which the moon rises and the moon sets, and you can correlate it with what's going on with the tides. So this is really easy to see, right? The movement that the moon is doing on the actual ocean, right? Because we can physically see the tide going in, the tide going out, high tide, low tide, whether it's the currents are where it's just like flat, but the currents are, you know, the oles, that's what happens. You have all these currents underneath. So anyway, this is an example of that. We can go on to the next slide. People can ask questions whenever, Malia.
Oh, yeah, I meant to remind them too. Yeah, if you have questions, I'm watching the Zoom chat. Both of us are looking at the Zoom chat. You can also use the Q&A feature. Yeah. And for those of you on our Facebook page, I'm also watching that too. I have my phone here and I'm monitoring that chat as well. So if you have questions, jump in and I'll let Kalei know.
Thank you. Okay, cool. All right, sorry, it just popped in my head, that's why. Okay, all right, so now this idea of the tide moving, ebbing and flowing, coming and going, this determines your fishing styles, okay? Your fishing and gathering styles are determined upon the tides, and the tides are determined by the moon, right? Where the moon is in the sky, where it is, how it's affecting the way the tides move. Okay, and then, so it, you know, for example, you're not going to throw your net when it's a high tide action, right? Like that guy is doing right there. You're ho'ole upena. You're not going to do the high tide. you have to do that at a perfect time so that it doesn't get hung up on the reef, or it doesn't be, it's not hanging and all the fish go out from underneath. So you sort of have to develop your style in which it is appropriate to your place. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. So for example, if and this is true in Kahalu'u in Kona, and there's a district there called Kahalu'u, Ahupua'a Kahalu'u, and then right next to it is Keauhou. Now they're basically the same families, right? One right next to the other, but their development of their fishing styles changed. They're so different, where one group, which I cannot remember which one does what, but I'm just gonna say one group will wait till the tide is going out and then they'll go and fish. And then the next group, who's like right next door, right, waits till it's coming in. They're doing the same practice, but it's just the way that their land is and their ocean and how it is, if there's coral heads or lava, plumes and things like that that are in the ocean, whether they're up on cliffs, whether they have wide beaches, all of these things determine when you're going to be doing your particular fishing style and gathering style, right? So yeah, so sometimes, I gotta go back to the Arawan Malia, yes, sorry. Just real quickly.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're going to be using a fishing pole because that's what works. Sometimes you're going to be using the luhe'e, which is that picture of the leho shell with the stone there to capture octopus. So you wouldn't do that like all the time. You wouldn't do it on a low tide. You do it. So you sort of determine that, and then surround net, which is illegal. Don't do that anymore. Yeah. Okay. So, but this is just an example of the old days, what they used to do. I think you still can do it. You just have to only leave it out for a certain amount of time. Anyway, fishing, spear fishing, net fishing, surround net fishing, all of those styles of fishing and gathering is all determined by the tide and the way that your Aina is situated. That's kind of okay. We can go on to the next. Mahalo Malia. Okay, now this is what's cool. This is the same thing that happens for magma. Okay, we have stories about this and mentionings of it in our chants, especially our Pele chants, that talk about how there is a definite connection between what the moon is doing and what kind of volcanic activity is happening, which also includes earthquakes. And so you can go and collect all of the data if you want to, and then you can actually see by where the moon is. You can actually see a high tide and a low tide too, as well, through the lava, and by how many times there are earthquakes. So there's a definite correlation there. And again, this is something that our ancestors composed in chants, hundreds of years ago. Yeah, and science today is only now catching up to it. So yes, I'm gonna pat myself on the back there. Okay, you can do the same thing too. But yeah, and the reason why they're so keen on all of these things, the effects that the moon has on different liquid, is because survival mattered, right? There's no barge coming in every day. So you have to know what you're doing. You have to understand your environment. You have to adapt the knowledge you brought, or you have to adopt the knowledge and adapt it so that, you can do the least amount of exertion and energy to have the best productivity off of what you want. So anyway, knowing when the tides are affected in magma is probably important to folks who live in Kalapana and Puna and that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So then we have this again, my animation, but this is
maybe I can put out a kahea if there's any animators that would like to partner with our malama team.
Yes.
They're a young keiki that does animation, or our Kanayokana team, or anyone.
Yes.
We would love to partner with any animator out there.
Yes, we would. That would be awesome, because then this would look a little better instead of my pink arrows just doing the, and then you watch it, is like, what the heck's going on, Kalei? Okay. This is supposed to be showing everyone the effects of the moon, the different phases of the moon, and that exactly what Malia was talking about, her plants, because the moon affects the sap, the sun affects the sap, and then the stars affect it. And you're going, what do you mean the stars? Well, it has to do with seasons. So you mark the season through the star, through the moon, and then what's going on with the sun. And then you connect that to what's happening on the earth. And in this case, the sap is in different parts of the tree or plant at different times of the actual lunation of the moon. Lunation is cycle of the moon. Okay, so yeah. So sometimes it's in the roots, sometimes it's in the trunk of the tree, sometimes it goes up to the tops of the trees at the ends of the leaves, and then it turns around and goes back down again. Okay, so it's this constant, it's this high tide, it's an ebb and a flow again, gang, right? High tide and then low tide, okay, happening in our plants. Okay, next. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that animator who may come forward. Okay, so this is a chart of biodynamic farming and where the sap is in the tree. Interestingly, and I've talked about this before, a study was done in the 1940s here in Hawaii by a guy named Burr. He was an anthropologist and not a scientist, and because he was an anthropologist, they sort of dismissed his findings. But actually, he was onto something. He was pretty onto it, meaning that he went out and interviewed a lot of people as an anthropologist to find out about this connection between why were the healers collecting certain parts of the tree at a certain part of the time of the lunar, and if there was a connection. There's this whole report. Anyway, he does this whole report, and like I said, it sort of gets dismissed, but it's actually ancient knowledge. And this is a chart that comes from Spain. And they're really they really love their wine, and they really love their olive trees. They love their olive trees like how we love our kalo plant. It's that's the same kind of affinity they have for their olive tree. So this is kind of based on an olive tree. The picture that you see here, it would be the same for Italians, right? They have the same biodynamic farming that they use for their grapevines. So there's a lot of native people and other people who live by the moon and by the sun and the stars, and try and get the most productivity that they can from nature without using chemicals, chemical enhancements, or fertilizers, or that kind of thing. It's all about how you plant your plant and what it looks like. And Uncle Jerry Konanui, I said this yesterday to Malia, he had this down to a science on which side of the house or the yard that you're going to plant your kalo, how you're going to lean the huli, because depending on what you want more leaves, you're going to lean it one way. If you want a bigger corm, you're going to lean it another way. How many slips of uala go into the pu'e or the mound, and which side of the mound you might want to plant those things, all of those things he sort of tested and utilized to see if our ancestors, what they say actually is true. Okay, so this is a really long story, getting even longer, but what I want to show you is in this diagram or illustration, you see the moon, right, as the phases are going. And so this luna nuova, or this is the new moon time or the dark moons. So basically, those first 6 phases, it's saying here, all of the energy of the plant goes down into the roots. And if you think about that, that makes sense. Because if I look at our moon calendar practices that are across the archipelago of Hawaii, this is kind of the time you would plant your your huli into the ground because you want roots to sprout, you see. So the energy of the plant goes down into the corm or into the roots of the tree. Okay. Then when we get to the cuatro, the quarter moon phase, the first one, the oles, right? The ole phases, we will see that the energy and the sap is in the trunk of the tree. Okay, so kind of neither here nor there, right? Sort of in the middle. And so I'll come back to that in a little bit. Then when you get to the large moons, which is where we're at now, right? We're at a large, we're akua moon phases. So the full moons, the big round ones, all of the energy is up in the tops of the tree, in the leaves. Okay, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. And then when we get to the cuatro, the third cuatro, it goes back down into the middle of the tree again, right in the trunk. Okay, why does this matter? Well, it matters if, let's say, you're a la'au lapa'au person, you're collecting, you need to collect medicine. So you might, if you need roots, like from the uhaloa, you might consider getting it during the times that it's in the roots, right? So while the energy and the sap is in the roots, you're going to go and get the roots then, because it's got the most potent, its potency is the best and the most at that time during that phase. So that's when you're going to go collect that particular kind of la'au that's from the root. Then during the ole phases, on the rising and the setting, on the first quarter and then the third quarter, when it's in the middle of the tree, if you need bark, let's say for la'au lapa'au, then this is the time that you would actually do that, right? You would do that. You would collect the bark during that time because it has all of that sap and nutrients that you need for healing. Okay, the other thing is, this is an inside scoop for all of you who make rope. Now watch, all these books and things are going to come out. But all of you guys who are let's see, people who make rope out of hau tree or mamaki, or what's that other tree? Anyway, all of that. Tucharia, I can't think of the name right now. But anyway, Olona, thank you. It came. Yay! I don't have nothing. Okay, my brain worked. Okay, so or voke. If you're a kapa beater, a kapa maker, you may want to consider collecting your bark at the time that we're at the ole phases. You see it more in traditional talk on the third quarter moon phases is when they actually do it. But the reason why they do it, it's easier to remove the second part of that bark from the first part. Cambium, I think it's called. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, yeah. So the inner bark is easier to peel off. It's got more sap in it. So I'm sure all of the couple guys are going, oh, no wonder sometimes when I go, the thing doesn't come off. But yeah, that's why it's probably not during the ole phases. So yeah, consider doing that. Anyway, yeah, so then when there's the full moon phases, all of the energy is up in the leaves. So this is the time when you would go and gather leaf kind of material if that's what you need for your la'au lapa'au and for other things. So yeah, that's my long explanation of the biodynamism that happens. On the ole phases is when you want to trim back your trees. Like if you're growing bokeh and you want to take off all of the, I mean, I think they do that every day anyway, remove all the little branches. But supposedly when you cut back your branches on your trees during the ole phases, they stay cut a little longer. Yeah, just so you know. And then people cut their hair too at that time too, because it stays short a little longer. I need a haircut too at this point. Looking forward to when we can go get one. But anyway, okay, thank you. That's the long answer for biodynamic farming, gang.
No, I think that was a really good one. I mean, especially because there are so many of us gathering now, growing.
Right.
So, this really makes it more effective. And I mean, I'm starting to grow some Mamaki plants. I have 3 now. And yeah, so I'm thinking, ooh, this might be a good time right now in this anahulu poi poi.
Yeah.
And gather some of those leaves. And I can see
Cool.
that they're even bigger.
Oh, neat.
I do see a question. Some people are still wondering, where do we get these moon calendars and this kind of information you want to share with our friends?
There are, wait. You mean the information I just said?
No, the just moon calendars in general, like the
Oh,
ones and stuff.
oh yeah. Well, let's see. The Prince Kuhio Hawaii Civic Club is probably the longest organization that's actually put out a lunar calendar. In fact, I better hurry up and calculate next year's for the new one that's coming out. Yeah, I'll get to that, Pee-wee, I promise. Anyway, yeah, there's those guys. There is Kamehameha Schools Publishing, which is online and free. You can get that. Theirs is done in a circle. There's a bunch of people who do different types of journals. Calopico is one of them. Kanani Fraser is another one. There are different people who do it specifically for their place and their practice. I think Malama Kauai is one of them. Pai Pai Oheia is another. Even Westpac, which is a federal office that they actually go into communities and try to help communities create their own lunar calendars that's specific to their place. And that's free online too. Westpac, WESPAC. I know Uncle Poi, Mac Poi Poi, his wife also puts out one too. Yeah, also puts out one too. There's several people. I apologize if I forgot a bunch of people, because I know there's a lot of people out there who do them. So
I was gonna say we have some of those resources and links on imalama.org. So
yes.
you can go there and see there's a whole variety of different resources. So
right,
that might be a good place to start.
right.
I'll take you to some of these other vendors and resources.
Yeah. So Kamehameha Schools on Maui's doing training for their their teachers. I'm helping them with that. The Kohala Center is another one that's working with schools so that they create their own. So, I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing it. And yeah, anyway, I think it's extremely important. Yeah, Kaho'olawe Valley Reserve Commission has been doing one for a long time too. And theirs is specific to what's happening in terms of marine life, you know, the monk seals and fish and those kinds of things. But anyway, yeah, there lots are out there. There's lots. There's way more now than there used to be 10 years ago, that's for sure. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing that people are into it. Okay. And then there's folks like Hinano that do theirs in Tahiti, and others who do Rereata, Makiha, who do different ones in Maramataka and Aotearoa. Yeah, we've gotten to meet a whole lot of people who are you know, because we live off of the Aina, we have to. If we want to stay in sync with our environment and not wipe out everything just because it's there, take it because it's there, you know, learn the actual cycles of different things, and when is the best time to collect and when is the best time to let things rest. The moon calendar is totally set up naturally to do that. The Gregorian calendar doesn't do that, except for give you some dates. Like if there's a R, you can go get lobster. I mean, that's not even following the nesting and egging cycles. Well, not nesting, but egging cycles and production of babies and things like that. Yeah, we're just wiping ourselves out if we don't learn. So this is a good opportunity while we're home, twiddling our fingers to come and learn it.
Too, that now, you know, I think this is an outcome of our first Aimalama conference. When remember we had a what was her name from the Cook Islands?
Oh yeah,
Mama.
Oh, it's yeah. Oh, Kalamai Poina.
Yeah, we'll remember. But anyway, she showed us how in their newspapers they would print the moon calendar for the month or for the day. I can't remember. But now OHA, I saw recently, they are doing that as well.
Yeah,
so
cool.
a moon calendar in their newspaper. So, you know, this is something that you can get by connecting with OHA and requesting the Kawaiola newspaper. So that might be another resource for people too.
Super cool. Yeah, awesome.
So I have the next slide up, keeping time
Okay.
with the moon.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Malia, keeping me on the what you call the script. Okay. So keeping time to the moon. I spoke about this very briefly on the first time, but you can actually see the moon rises about 45 minutes to an hour later every day. And so you can kind of learn to keep time from the moon cycle. Cross-cultural similarities of lunation studies is pretty dang cool, but what are some Kaulana Mahina things that are uniquely Hawaiian? Oh, there's so many uniquely Hawaiian because of our environment. And I will get to that while we're moving along. Kalapana, thank you for asking that question. But okay, so Muku and Hilo, you as you can see, you see this guy right here. I don't know if you can see my little arrow going around the dark moon, but that's Muku. That's the moon right there, rising at the same time that the sun is rising. Okay, so you can kind of see that the moon is in sync with the sun. That's double mana going on, gang. A lot of energy being pushed down onto the earth. And so that's why we have our extremely low tides in Hawaii around this time during the Hilo phases, the Muku phases, all the way through the Ku phases. And that's because the moon and the sun are kind of right next to each other. So at this time, Muku is lined up, Muku Hilo is lined up with the moon, and then it goes up over together. And then as the days go along and it's rising 45 minutes later, you'll see that the sun starts to get ahead of it and the moon is a little behind, but that's still two things pushing down on the earth, creating that negative tide activity. So yeah, you can keep time by going, Mukuhila will rise around 6 a.m. will be directly over our head at about noon and will set around sunset. And so as the phases move along, it'll rise a little later, between 45 minutes to an hour. And so you can I usually round it off to an hour just because it's easier. And then when we get to Ole Kulua, the moon will rise at noon, right over the eastern horizon, will be directly over our head at sunset, and then will set at midnight, right? So then the next following phases after that will get pushed behind a little more. Okay, next.
And I think we covered more of that in the part
First,
1.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And yeah, let's see.
Yeah, we're just briefly going through this.
Yeah.
Okay, now Hoku. Everybody always asks, what is the true full moon phase? There are 4 that Hawaiians recognize, and Akua is the first one. Akua, then comes Hoku, and then Mahealani, and then Kulu. Those are the 4 moon phases that are considered full. Okay, we recognize all 4. However, the true full moon phase, true because it is up in the sky for the entire night, is Hoku. Okay, so Hoku will rise exactly in opposition of the sun as the sun is setting. So at sunset, that's around 6 p.m. ish, it'll rise at the same time. So they're kind of in, they're doing this thing, right? And then you have the moon will be directly over our head at midnight. And then the moon will set the same exact time that the sun is rising the next morning. Now, when you see the moon up and it's supposed to be Hoku, and you see the moon up and the sun is already coming up, that's a big indicator that you got to drop one of your moon phases, because we've already passed on into the next. So it's already Mahealani before it sets. Okay, so that's usually around the time when we make that note, oh, okay, it's changing already, and so I have to drop a moon. Okay, and then finally, the Ole Kulua will rise at midnight, will be at our zenith at around sunrise, and then will set at noon. Okay, so you can sort of keep track of time based on that, knowing, every day it's about 45 minutes to an hour later. Yeah, so you can keep it's great. You can keep time without even actually having to watch. Then That's how I know, and my students are lying in my class. But you know, if they, if you're observing the moon and they say, "Oh, I saw La Ao Pao at 2 o'clock in the afternoon." No, you never, brother. It ain't even up in the sky. But anyway, that's okay. Sorry, make you fun, make you fun. Anyway, so these are all of the phases, okay, and each of them have their own time correlation, which is like really important if you become a calculator, someone who calculates time. You kind of have to know when they're rising. You kind of have to know, you have to connect it to the different stars that are in the sky. You got to connect it to the different moons that are in the sky. What do I mean by that? I mean, and how that correlates with the sun. That's what I mean. Okay. All right, moving along.
By the way, Kawai is saying, "Hi, Mama."
Hi, Kawai. Hi, baby. I miss you. Mama, me, I love you with all my heart. Okay. You and your sister, even. Okay. What's important about moon phases is each 30 phases creates a malama. Okay, one malama, and it's not a mahina in old Hawaiian calculators, or when we say malama, we're talking about the different malama names, the different monthly names of the 30 phases that sit together. Okay, so and each malama, oh wait, we're getting there. Okay, so each malama has its own monthly expectations. They have seasonal cyclical changes that are specific to that malama, environmental indicators, natural things that are happening that you can go, oh, we're on, or oh, we're off. So these are the guys that you're going to be paying attention to the malama when you need to say, oh, is climate change really happening? It's in the malama that you're going to see that. You're not going to really see it in the Mahina, the phases. Okay, that's really small stuff. We're talking big now. We're looking at weather, climate, whereas the other one is the weather and then in terms of what you're doing. So this one is bigger. And there's this idea of the importance of guiding stars. And so we'll show you that in the next slide, I think.
Yeah, and we're at Hola Umi, but I just wanna humbly ask all of you. I mean, we're really thankful that you're choosing to be with us, and we want to cover the malama, and we just have like 2 or 3 more slides.
Okay,
so if you guys can stick with us for another maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Gotta go. We are recording this, and you can come back and watch the last few minutes, but stick with us because we just have a few more slides, and it's really interesting, to learn a little bit more about the malama. So Kalei, no need rush, but I just want to people know we're gonna stick on just a little bit longer.
Yeah. Okay, Gaggy, tie on your malo real tight because we're going to go real fast, like on a bicycle going down the hill. Okay, here we go. So each of those malama names equate to a star. So there's a star called Kaulua. There's a star called Nana. There's a star called Belo. There's a star called Ikiki. You see what I'm saying? So each of the malama names correlates with a star. Okay, and so that's what you see here. This is the calculation I use personally. It is a combination of David Malo's generalization, which comes from Kona. Okay, that's where it comes from. So if you're wondering, where did you get that information from? Yeah, and when Kamehameha took over, when he subjugated, this is totally off the subject, but while he subjugated the people in the islands to his rulership, he also changed the way they kept time too. And so so that's why the Kona calculation is the general calculation that we all follow. However, mine is a combination of the Kona calculation and the East Maui calculation, because that's honoring Uncle David Ka'alakea and Uncle Harry Tunihi Mitchell, who I always credit them for my knowledge, right? In the beginning my journey for this whole thing. So anyway, so that's, if you're like, oh, how come yours is different? Yeah, no, it's not different. It's just a combination of the two. But anyway, okay, so there's that. Now, why am I telling you that? Because in this next, what you see here is that this particular calculation has, 6 months sit in the season of what we call winter months, but it's really the wet months. Okay, so ho'oilo or ho'oilo, depending on where you're from and how you pronounce it. And then the other 6 months sit in the kauvela or the summer months, the dry months. Okay, we only have 2 seasons in Hawaii, generally. There are other people throughout Hawaii who have developed their own that have 3 seasons. And then there's others who have 4 seasons. Okay, so just know that those are based on cycles that are happening around them or ceremonies that are important to their community. Okay, so those are kind of some of the reasons why they differ. Okay, and as you can see, each lunar month has its own thing going on. With sometimes this is when you prepare nets, sometimes is when you fish, sometimes this is when you have a kapu, sometimes this is when you don't. Okay, so those kinds of things happen in the malama. Okay, they'll happen in the malama. Okay, next.
I wanted to maybe see, because I love engaging with our community, and I want them to, maybe you may know if you're a practitioner and you are following the moon calendar. Do you guys want to put a guess in there what malama we're currently in?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Let's see, because I know it's coming up. We're gonna share that really soon.
Yeah.
So in the chat, do you guys want to take a guess, or maybe you already know and put it in there? Just, it's a safe place, you guys. We're here all learning together.
Yeah.
So
for all you 2 people who are watching us do it.
what malama do you think we're in right now, or do you know we're in? Take a guess. Any guess? Any brave ones out there? Palala here on Kauai is saying ikiki. Someone else is guessing velo. Another saying ikiki.
Someone saying aloha.
Someone saying aloha. Another one saying kaulana. Yeah, great guess. And so I go and maybe proceed to the next slide.
Right. Okay. So well, okay, interesting answers. Thank you very much, all of you guys. And so I know a lot about you just based on where you're going with your calculations. But so like I said, this is the calculation I'm following, and so we're currently in iki right here in the calculation I'm following. I'm not saying anybody else's calculation is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the one that we're following right now is Iki. We're in the middle of Iki. And it is the new political season. You know why it's a new political season? I'll tell you why. Manaiakalani has been rising in the eastern sky around the time that the sun is setting. So this is a big deal for Ali'i Nui, who are starting their Aha Lana Lana ceremonies, their Aha ceremonies, if they're thinking about going to war or changing up the political atmosphere of what's happening. So anyway, Iki for my calculations follows where Manaiakalani is at the time of the year. So right now, tonight, when you guys get up, or well, when you finish eating and you go outside, go and check out the first stars that you see, and the first ones you'll see are in the southeast is going to be the top part of Manaiakalani, and then if you look towards the south, you're going to start to see the Southern Cross. The old Hawaiian name for that is Neve or Neva. So you'll see that over there, and then off you'll start to see Hokulea up in the sky and the Big Dipper on the north side, right? So yeah, that's gonna be your sky this evening. So go out, go check them. That's our ha'awina. Okay, that's our ha'awina for today. All right, okay, we can move along. Almost promise everybody. So we're currently in the summer months, okay, the dry seasons. And what I want to say about that in terms of climate change, during our Kuapola ceremony, we saw that this year is going to be a year that will likely have a lot of storms. And so what do we have coming up soon? We have hurricane season. So I think it's going to be a very active hurricane season. And I think science has also predicted that too as well. They're saying it's going to be dry, but that's not what ours said. Ours said it's going to be actually pretty wet. So we shall see, right? We'll see who's correct. But yeah, so anyway, this is my shout out to you all to go prepare for hurricane season this year. Yeah. And 2 years ago today is when had the big earthquake in not Kona, Puna on Hawaii Island, and that's when the earth split and all kind of things are coming out, lava flow. Anyway, okay, all right. Okay,
Oh,
trying to wrap this up, Kalei. Okay, here we go.
I think that was the last one.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. What was that? Oh, okay, yeah, because there's all these calculations. So I'm just gonna end with if you're from different islands, if you're from different places, you'll actually see different calculations. And should I go back to that slide, Malia, if can?
Okay. Which one?
Yes, the last one. Oh, yeah, the last one, I think so.
Okay.
Anyway, Kauai is the only place that has different malama names. And so yeah, they have 3 different names on Kauai, and theirs has to do with seasons, different ocean seasons. So you can see the way that this is calculated has to do with what star is visible in the sky from your point of view. This is my big thing about why it's so important to go back and restore heiau, because you need a panana. You gotta establish a place that is always in the same spot, and you never move from that place when you're doing your observations, because then you can calculate different things off of what's naturally around you. And when you see these stars, that's how you know that's the malama. And that's a whole nother different class of time. Yeah, like a 400 level class on how to do that. And actually at the end of my Papahulilani class, we sort of talk about that a little bit, but not much. And anyway, what happens is you need to have a stationary spot to be able to understand whether you're watching things rising or whether you're watching things setting. And some places you're able to do both. And it's based on those things that you're observing that your calendar is calculated to that observation you see. So somebody who was a kahuna kilo in the old days really had a big deal job. That was a big job, because if that person miscalculated anything, him or her and their families don't get that job anymore. They get fired. And I think the fire before is not the kind of fire we have come back later. No, I think it's bye-bye. Go tell me how hot that emu is. But so yeah, you're not allowed to make mistakes, because if you make a mistake as someone who's keeping time, then what happens is you it's a detriment to the whole entire community. And so there's no barge coming in every day, there's no extra food somewhere else sitting somewhere. So you really today we off, that's all right, that's okay, we go Costco, whatever. But yeah, back in the day, if you made a mistake and people died because of your mistake, yeah, that's not a good thing. So yeah, today we're allowed that freedom to make the mistakes. So anyway, that's my long story of saying go out, establish your panana so you can begin your observations, which is our part 3 coming up sometime. I'm not sure when. I just fill in the spots when people cannot go in. So that's my job. I fill in the spot. I help out my friend Malia whenever she needs somebody. So yeah, it's a nice segue into how to kilo, because that's where we're going to go the next time we get together. Yeah.
Awesome.
And thank you for hanging on to the last 13 minutes of yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Yeah, maybe any closing manao or aloha to your favorite kumu, since it's National Teacher Day.
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I have several. There's too many to mention, but one of the main ones who saw something in me, because I thought I was a dumb person, was Auntie Hokulani Holt. If it wasn't for her, I would probably still be that the cabbage head person that wasn't getting anything accomplished. So if it wasn't for her pushing me into my uncomfortable spots, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So I have to acknowledge it. But since then, since then I've had several kumu, and I consider you a kumu. You know, people around me a kumu. So yeah, mahalo to everyone
Yeah.
for imbuing their gracious knowledge and sharing it with me. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo.
Yeah. Thanks again, Kalei, for
Yeah,
joining us.
anytime.
Yeah.
Kegagi.
So I'll bring up, and aloha to Auntie Hoku and to the Ohana on Maui, and her Tita Ulalia.
Yeah.
So many people that we have lots of aloha with, or for. And all of our kumu, they've definitely they've done something for us. And I think that's what I love about our kumu, our parents, because in our homes, so many of our makua are now homeschooling teachers, right? They're all
Yeah.
teachers. And
Yeah.
as a mom, a dad, an auntie, uncle, kupuna, that's really your first teacher is your parents, and so yeah, go hug your teacher, your mom,
Yeah.
dad, your loved ones. So yeah, as we wrap it up today, we want to again humbly ask all of you to go to kanayokana.net/survey and answer a few questions. It'll take you just a few minutes, and we're really thankful if you can do that for us. That helps us again to really bring and let us know, like, is this something you want us to continue? Because to be honest, we're like wondering, like, should we continue it? Is it too much? Is it too little? How much more? What kind of things do you want to learn? So those are the kinds of things you can share with us in the survey, and that's a place where we can capture that mana'o. So yeah, we really want to know. Go tell us there in the survey. And again, I want to encourage all of you to go to kanayokana.net/lei, because that's where you can find out not just about the Lei Ānuenue sessions that'll be coming up. And we have, like, this afternoon at 2, you have to come back because our friends on Mokoke Ave from Kuakanaka, and many of you may know Kukahakalau and her daughter, Pomai, wait. Oh my God. Oh, wait.
Polani.
Polani Makamai. Yes, Polani Makamai. Yes. And she's a new mama. So, sending her lots of aloha. And, we got so many people lined up. And then also the Aikole sessions. So go to that scheduler at kanayokana.net/lei, and you can go and see all of our sessions there, even our partnerships with Ahakane, with Hue Viola, and then also our new partnership with OHA and their Aloha Rising series that will be on Thursday. So if you go to the kanayokana.net/lei, that's where you'll find out all that information. Again, a big mahalo to each of you for sticking with us, for joining us on the regular, and stay connected with us. We're on Facebook as well as Instagram. You can look for Kanayokana, go follow, and also Hawaii Nui Akea, the School of Hawaiian Knowledge. Come follow us too, because we got a lot of exciting things coming up. We're also, for Hawaii Nui Akea, we're trying to look for all of our past alumni. If you're a graduate from UH Manoa, Hawaiian Language, Hawaiian Studies, we want to connect with you. So go onto our Facebook page and let us know there. And I think that's what we got for today. So mahalo nui, ke aloha ya oko pakahi, and have a wonderful day. Come back at 2 o'clock. Aloha.